Hey guys, me again. Another van rant, I guess. Just got out of the gym again, so I've been consistent as usual going into the gym. But I wanted to, this time I wanted to talk because I was just, when I train, a lot of things go through my head. Obviously, I got my music blaring and stuff like that. And today I wanted to talk to you about character and growing through adversity, okay? So, the biggest thing that I've seen or that I've had to experience in my life, and you've probably done it too, or had to know this, is that you never grow without pressure. You never, like when I work out, just as a perfect example, when I work out, I have to use, like more and more weights, heavier and heavier weights to get my muscles bigger and bigger, right? Or that's at least the theory. And what a lot of people don't understand, and I think in today's day and age, to me, it seems like people have been sissified, to say the least. Like the only people, and I'm going to ramble all over the place, but as usual, but the only people that I have ever really respected in my business or in my life were the people that were actually the hardest on me. I know that's kind of strange to think, but like of all the school teachers I had, there was one teacher in general that he was a guy, and this was back in 1985 when I was in high school. I would have been a senior that year, graduating in '86. And I remember at the beginning of the class, the only thing that we had to do to pass this class was actually show up, and it was like a American history, and we just watched a movie, like a history lesson movie each day. And at the very beginning of the class, we all knew that he was really a hardcore, no holds barred teacher, right? And what was so funny was my class was a bunch of jerk offs. Like they were just idiot. We were all just, idiots. I did all the dumb things you could think of, got in all the trouble and everything like that. And they all knew who we were. And this teacher at the beginning of the class, he basically said, he just stopped everybody and said, he would just say, okay, listen, shut up. Here's the deal. You come every day, you get an A. If you don't, you get an F. And any of you guys that I see giving us a hard time in here, I promise I will throw you out that window. And the funny thing is we all believed him. Like we knew that he would actually throw us out the window. And back then he probably wouldn't have gotten in trouble for it. Now it'd be all over CNN. But throughout my life, what I've seen too is the things that at the time were the hardest were the things that actually made me grow the best. Like I know that's, you have to think about that. Is I think too many people in this day and age are looking for the easiest route to success. Okay. Like I do a ton of internet marketing, right? Like I learned how to do my recruiting and stuff like that. And the reason I attract so many people to my business is it looks like it's easier, which it is, but there was a massive learning curve. Like it was stuff that I had to learn for the last 10 years to get to the point that it's, like that. Like everybody knows that you can't, diamonds are created through pressure. Pearls are created through, I think abrasive things, right? I remember, when I was young, I've always been short. I'm only like 5'6" on a good day with good shoes on. But I remember I was small, I was skinny, I was very short. I got picked on all the time. And, I'm talking all through elementary school, all the way up into high school. And when I was a junior, but when I was a sophomore, I was still little, right? And I was trying to play football because that's what everybody did. And I was getting annihilated. Like I would get annihilated. I was like the fourth string because there was nobody on the back end. I was the tackling dummy. And I remember my mom would feel bad for me and, and she did everything she could, to encourage me. And I'd try to get taller by hanging on a pole, the whole 9 yards. And she bought me a weight set. And what was cool is I finally hit puberty during that period. Basically, I was a late bloomer. And I started lifting weights. And I started, in my head, I was thinking that I was going to put on weight. I was going to get muscles. I was going to, not get pushed around anymore. And I literally put on 28 pounds of muscle from my junior year or my sophomore year to my junior year, to the point that when I went from fourth string cornerback, the guy in the backfield with no speed whatsoever, to being the starting nose guard, which was kind of crazy. And then ended up being starting center and so on. So it was, that was one of my first things. And then I wasn't getting picked on as much because I could actually push back. But, that's just a kind of a dumb story. But this all kind of, this whole rant here, not rant, but me just trying to, share my head, clear my head off live, to you guys is, what was cool is I think it was 2 weeks ago, both my sons were home. Like my one son, Isaiah, he graduated. So he's got a condo up the street and he's, doing stuff. And then, everybody's moving around. As you get older, obviously your kids start moving around a little farther. But they were all home. And what was funny is, we were just kind of, reminiscing about, high school and little kids. And we were watching like a home movie or something. And when Zeke, and a lot of you guys see me post videos and pictures of Zeke, my youngest son, who's that hardcore football player, right? He's a starting middle linebacker at a D1 school, led the state in tackles for loss. And you see that stuff I post on here. But what was crazy was Zeke's not that tall. He's always been kind of, and when he was little, he was kind of chunky. Like he had little pot belly, and it was so funny. He named his pot belly Angus for some unknown reason. But the kids in the neighborhood that he was with, we were talking and we were asking him about, do you remember this? And they just started bringing up stories I never knew. And what was something he said was like, so it just popped to me. Like I was so impressed that he had done this on his own. Cause maybe he just saw me, going through, but adversity and overcoming kind of thing. And what was so funny that he said is when he was younger, they would play like hockey at the up the street at one of the kids' houses, and they were all like 3-4 years older than him. He was always the smallest kid, and he said that, and he was talking, and they were like, and he said something that was so powerful. He was talking about, oh yeah, I used to just stand there and wait to get in. I was all dressed, I was all excited, and I'd wait to get in, and I'd stand there for 2 hours. And they would maybe let me in for 2 or 3 plays, right? And Stacy, my wife, obviously, she goes, I'm so sorry. Like that, right? Like, your natural reaction, especially in today's everybody gets a trophy day. And Zeke said, he goes, well, all I figured was I had to get better if I wanted to play. And I thought that was the coolest thing that I'd heard somebody say for ever. Right? As he just said, if I wanted to play, I had to get better, right? It's just, society today is just so much sissies. Like people are just, everybody's got an attitude. Everybody's got a burr up their butt. Everybody thinks that they should be handed something. And it's no wonder there's nobody, people like when they run into an issue or a problem or whatever, they never try to be proactive. They just grab their little pity blanket and try to sit in a corner. That doesn't work in the real world. Here's the other thing. I learned this from my pastor. My pastor's he's had a business for years, and then he's been a pastor as well, but he's had his business previously, and he said some of the greatest things. He said that you have to learn to embrace the conflict. Because money is just merely a reward for solving a problem. Well, if there's no problems, then there's nothing to solve, right? Then everybody, again, back to my dumb, everybody lives on, rides unicorns thing. But what I figured out was that the only way that I got better was when I engaged the adversity. I knew that it was coming, that it was just part of life, that I had to get better. I had to learn some skills. I had to change. I mean, Jim Rohn says this in all the CDs. If you work harder on yourself than you do on your business, and the business will kind of come into play or, fall in place. And I think that's what too many people don't do. So when I go into the gym, it's more of I could stay home. Like this morning, I was tired. I got up at 5:30 this morning. I didn't sleep real good. I got a lot on my mind from business. And a lot of you don't know this, but my daughter's getting married this next week. And so I'm flying out of the country to do that. So there's a lot of stuff going through my head. And so going to the gym is my way to release the wiggles and, get my head clear. But what I've seen and what I think that if you really want to do something special, you just have to suck it up, buttercup. You have to suck it up and learn that there are going to be adversities, there's going to be issues, that you just have to learn to become an overcomer of those issues. I mean, when I, like in the business that I'm in right now, it just cracks me up at the trivial stuff that set people off. Like, I know for a fact that these people will never be successful if they have these candy ass attitudes that they just should be handed everything, and that that everything's just going to be easy. That you learn to think, how can I solve this problem? How can I do this? Well, I contacted a guy and he didn't return my call. I sent a text or an email to corporate and they didn't get back to me in 24 hours. What is this? I mean, it just cracks me up. I see some people give me hearts. I just don't understand. I understand why there's so many people that aren't truly successful, because they settle for being average and ordinary. And I'm not saying I'm this super genius or anything like that, but I've never walked across a stage because it was handed to me. I've never been given a trophy because it was easy. When I play racquetball, like every day, if I know that I missed the ball and I could have got the point because the guy didn't see it, I never take the point. I always admit that I missed it, because I would never, ever want to win a game if it was a cheat or an easy, because I feel bad about myself from an integrity and a character standpoint. Too many people are looking for the shortcuts, right? It cracks me up too, because I'm in different like in network marketing, I do that obviously as a living, or part of my living. And, there's businesses where, people get placed in people's organizations and stuff like that. And it always cracks me up how people will call me and say, hey, do you have a spot for me? Go build your own freaking spot, right? I don't ask for handouts from my upline, people above me and leaders. I go do it, right? If you want me to remember your name, give me a reason. So, sorry. Now we're really going off the rails. I got my adrenaline flowing now. But that's, identify what you're good at. Go get better at it. Don't take the easy route. The satisfaction of knowing that you did something with character and integrity is better than if you quit. It's better if you took a shortcut, because that's fleeting success. That's fleeting success. I'm never going to buy your book if you get famous and and so on, if you don't have a story of overcoming adversity. Why do you think people like to watch Rocky? Why do you think people love the movie, Rudy, right? I've watched that 1,000 times. Maybe not 1,000, but probably 900, right? It's because people have to learn to you're encouraged by adversity. You're encouraged by the stories of those people. Why is that scene in Facing the Giants where the kid complains about things being so tough, we're going to get beat, and the coach makes him throw that kid on the back? If you've never watched that, go get that. That's one of the greatest scenes in the history of business, right? In life. It's just powerful. But if you want something better, you have to get better. If you want to do something significant, you have to overcome adversity. I talked to a guy last night on the phone that was calling me we've known each other for probably, I'd say 15 years. I haven't talked to him in probably 3, and he just randomly called me about a question, and we got into this, and this guy's story was hilarious. I was like, well, how are you doing what you're doing now? He's not in networking. It's like a big corporation now. But I mean, adversity after adversity after adversity, and lawsuits and things like that. And I'm telling you, this guy's going to be he's going to be a billionaire probably in the next 2 to 3 years with what he's doing with his business. And it was just adversity, adversity, adversity. I listen to the stories my pastor talks about. I have no idea how somebody can be a pastor. I mean, everybody has a crybaby story that they want to tell their pastor, how life's so tough. And pastors take the most heat in most cases, right? How does a pastor take a tithe? That pastor, all he wants is my money kind of stuff. You're right. Everybody should just give everybody everything for free, and everybody lives on these clouds of, whatever. I don't even know what people think half the time. So I didn't mean to, yeah, I did. I meant to rant. I meant to go on with this. But I'm telling you that life's not made up of instant gratification and so on. The reality is every day you have to take it one day at a time. How to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You have to take it one day at a time. You have to learn to embrace the conflict, overcome adversity, get better as a person. One of the best things that you can do is continually read and listen to stories of people who have overcome adversity. Period. Like my wife, if you want a tip, this is a great podcast to listen to. It's I hope I remember it. Man, come on. I just had it in my head. How I Built This. It's called How I Built This, and this guy interviews all these companies that you would know, like the Dollar Shave Club, Laura Bars, all these companies and their stories are hilarious, because most of them were, I had an idea, I went after it, it was a horrible experience, I succeeded kind of thing, and if you just start to listen to these things, they encourage you in your daily activities to stay in the course, as opposed to just throwing in the towel and whining and so on, right? Like, most people will always respect the person that went through the adversity and came out on the other side, as opposed to the guy that, you coddle. Like, it's no wonder. It's why do so very few people ever become Navy SEALs? Because it's harder than a mother scratcher to become a Navy SEAL, right? The mental adversity that you have to go through to be that is incredible, and that's why people respect them so much. It's you respect the people the most that go through the most adversity. So if you want to be that person that's so successful, understand that you got to go through the adversity. There's no other way around it. There's no other shortcut about it. That's how the life works. If you watch this, whether it's on my YouTube channel, because I'll download it, put it on there, or my Facebook page, if you got kids, don't be one of those parents that gives your kid a trophy if they just did something and showed up. That doesn't teach anybody anything. If I would have been given, it is absolutely no wonder we've got a society the way we have right now, where everybody gets a trophy for just showing up. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's no wonder that there's so many people that aren't out there making a difference. Because if you become a person that goes out there and overcomes adversity, then it's going to be the best thing you've ever done. Last story is I wrestled in high school, and my mom suggested I wrestled in high school as a sophomore. I told this at the very beginning of this video, how I was just little and so on. And I remember just getting annihilated in wrestling. But I remember loving wrestling so much because I had to push through. And I watched other kids that were in there that were pushing through. And the coolest thing about wrestling, probably one of my favorite things, is if you wanted to start varsity that week, you had to wrestle off for that weight class. There was no hey, you're a senior, you've been, you show up to 2 or 3 practices a week, we're going to let you start. If you were a freshman, you could wrestle off a senior, and if you beat him in wrestle-offs, you were varsity. Like, to me, that's why I loved wrestling so much. Wasn't that it was so hard, but it was the character development of it. It was that you had to wrestle off every week against the guy that was the starting position if you wanted to, and you could call him out if you wanted to. If you felt like you were getting better and could beat the varsity guy, everybody encouraged you. And when I did it in high school, whole team was sitting around there. You had to go out there. And if you lost, you felt good about yourself because you knew you gave it your best shot. So anyhow, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to jump off here. I got to get home, get to work. But again, another rant in my van after working out. So I'll talk to you guys a bit, and I'll see you on the other side. So go do something cool today, because if you do today what others won't, you will live tomorrow like others can't. See ya.